Just before the message tonight, we have a wonderful testimony and a treat. And Brother Brown, would you come up? This is Harley Brown, and he loves our church. And I'm just so proud of the fact that he does. Of course, part of the reason is he's got 3 grandchildren here, Mark and Melissa and Miss Camille Cowart. I think that's on and should be ready to go, but he lives in Knox County. But we see him down here a lot, and when he was here last time, I was asking him about some of his experiences in World War II, and I was just enthralled. Brother Brown, thank you for being here tonight. Tell us something about when you enlisted in the service.
I enlisted in the service 1 week prior to the first anniversary of Pearl Harbor. I was sworn in the Navy about 3 o'clock here in Nashville on the first day of December 1944.
And you're originally from Knoxville, are you?
No? I'm originally from out of Rogersville, out in the mountains. I'm a mountain boy. Proud of it.
Well, that's why we like each other. That's right. And so you were enlisted in the Navy, and then where did you go for training?
I enlisted in the Navy basically because the unseen hand that I say here was piddling in my life even then.
Because you were not a Christian.
No, I wasn't. My problem, I had a problem there. When I was about 10 years old, going to hoe corn on the mountain, I remember kneeling and praying, but Satan got victory before I got back to tell my godly mama. Mm-hmm. And so I denied being a Christian, which really I wasn't, but I hadn't by the mouth confessed him. Mm-hmm. So really I wasn't. But anyway,
you had a church there that was praying for you at least.
I had a church that was praying for me. Mom and Dad, my mother, my grandfather was a Baptist preacher, one that walked and rode horseback. Mm-hmm. And Mom joined the church that he pastored, and even though they were in that Free Will Baptist Church, as much as anybody else, they maintained their membership in the Primitive Baptist. Mm-hmm. But the church treated Dad like he was a deacon, and he was a Sunday school superintendent, a godly man.
So how did you get in this plane? Tell us about what your job was, what your role was in the plane the one that went down.
Okay. When I finished basic training and gunner and machinist school and gunnery and turret school, which took most of a year, they sent me to Norfolk, Virginia, and we were required to look at the bulletin board. And there I found Harley Brown, first flight engineer, on a seaplane that you see down here. And I just about fainted. I'd never seen the plane that I was going to be first flight engineer on. And of course they took care. I remember saying, "Boy, somebody better do something in a hurry." Well, they did. It took them about 2 or 3 months to get us ready to go.
So you had training. Were you in Florida? You had training in Florida?
Yes, they had put them together there in Norfolk, but they got us together and sent us to Canaveral, which is Banana River, that was then, and Cape Canaveral now. And we were there with our toys about, I think, a month. And then I went to Edenton, North Carolina, and a little inlet there, and we did our training there, and we lost a crew, 2 crews, and in one plane, minus 1 man during that time. And our squadron lost 3 crews and 2 planes, minus 3 people. Well, actually, those that went there, they flipped to see who would go and who would stay. So I count them as saved. All those that went were lost. Just never heard of them, couldn't find no trace of them anywhere.
So the plane that you got on that was flying in the Caribbean, was not your regular crew.
No. I'd finished up a 15-day leave, and she's back there somewhere, my bride of 64 and a half years. And I asked her to wait for me. She was ready to get married, and I held out tight until that episode. It had a change in my life.
So you were assigned to this plane.
I was assigned to this plane when I went back off of leave after she promised to wait. And I looked on it, and I guess I'll have to admit that I was ticked off. The rest of the guys got to loll around the base, and I had to fly. So I don't know that I made too much try to get with the crew. I don't remember any of them except the pilot. And since I've, as one fellow said one time, since I've come to myself and realized what it had done for me, I thank God so many times that pilot had his head on right. You see, we were down to 3 hours flying time on gasoline. And that's what the Bermuda Triangle was, it has always been famous for, was swallowing up people that were lost. There is something about the area. It is a mountain range such as what you find here in Nashville and East Tennessee, sunken, and the tops of those mountains are the islands. And there's some phenomenal. Nobody has been able to figure out what. The nearest I could find was a fellow on the net about 2 or 3 years ago, and I didn't get his name, and I don't get around the net too well, so I never could find it anymore. But his theory was that a magnetic fog at certain times down there would attach itself to a ship or a plane. Now, ships were also lost down there. If you want to use it, real good historians, you know that. And then if he is right, then when we went in and the current changed and the wind and it got crosswise, and some of that as it tossed and turned, and we were down at sea.
And you lost communication? No communication, no orientation,
no radio
completely lost in there.
No radio communication, none of the, all my instruments worked on the panel. My job was to keep them 2 big whirligigs running. And I managed to do that. But the instruments that told us where we were, when we got there, somebody moved the stinking island.
It just wasn't there.
So I